I wanna be famous, so I'ma keep on singing, bitch. I'ma keep on rapping, and you just keep on watching it.
Before CJ So Cool would clock in over 3.7 million subscribers on YouTube and another 1 million on Instagram at the time of this recording, going viral with his family prank, challenge, and lifestyle videos.
Diabetes.
You're just asking for it, right? Ew, Julia.
That was you.
Before CJ So Cool would move into his Las Vegas mansion and propose to his longtime girlfriend, Royalty, and of course, another prank video.
This is not a prank, Royalty, okay? It was a prank, but this is very much real. So I'm gonna ask you one time.
Before CJ So Cool would get his start on YouTube collaborating with his little brother Jinx, who would tip him off about the potential of being an online entertainer.
None other than the king himself, Jinx. Bucket hat on cause I'm a real ass nigga. Swag. Hey, what's up?
Growing up with no money and no father figure, CJ So Cool has done a total 360, going from living in poverty to living the American dream. But it's not just him enjoying the perks of his YouTube success, he shares it all, including the limelight with his fiancée Royalty and their 4 children. On top of that, the dude likes to give a lot of it away.
I'm giving away Xboxes, PlayStations, Xbox codes, PlayStation codes, Amazon codes. I actually give away headphones, iTunes codes. I give away money. I've given away clothes, food to the homeless.
The come up didn't happen overnight with CJ working at Denny's and Chuck E. Cheese, all while dodging gangbangers in high school. He then joined the Navy working under the Presidential Guard and became a young father. He was kicked out of university and made his way to Vegas as a blackjack and craps dealer. Almost each and every one of his careers would come to a sudden end. But in the end, he always knew that someday he would make a name for himself. But it wasn't until his kid brother Jinx tipped Cordero off on the endless opportunities that can be found on YouTube, and he was able to turn his dreams into a reality. What's going on, guys? My name is Michael McCrudden, documenting the life and career of CJ So Cool prior to fame, here for you on Before They're Famous. Now, you guys requested this video. In fact, it's been the most popular request in recent months, and we're going to be making 2 videos with CJ. There's going to be his Rich Life video dropping next week. So to make sure I got everything perfectly accurate in this one, well, CJ actually jumped on a Skype call with me to help me with this video.
From kindergarten on up to 8th grade, I was a lame, dusty kid. I just had the skinny, tight school pants on because it was the school clothes from last year.
Now, this entire interview will be posted to my second channel, and if you haven't subscribed to CJ So Cool yet, you better get that done. There's a link down below. Now let's get into this bio. CJ So Cool was born Cordero James Brady on March 29, 1989 in Gary, Indiana, located 25 miles southwest of downtown Chicago, and this city is the birthplace of the Jackson 5, and well, that's pretty much it.
Man, this is my hometown, guys. 219. Gary, Indiana, stand up, man. My first video out here. This is crazy.
Cordero's father was locked up when he was young and actually died in prison. His mother, on the other hand, she dealt with a drug addiction and gave up her 5 children for adoption. Cordero was the oldest boy. He has one older sister, Tashanya Terrell, who has a different father. Then there are his younger siblings, Kenneth, Shamithia, and of course, Jinx.
My little brother Jinx lost his virginity in this house right here, man.
They were fortunate that they would find a home with relatives, with all the kids living with Cordero's grandmother and great-grandmother on his mother's side.
You can tell in my great-grandmother's heart, she didn't want to raise us because she had already been through that process so long ago. She resented us.
This is when he moved into this house on Wisconsin Street and 22nd Place in Gary, Indiana. The 5 kids were still in the system and will be visited regularly by social workers. CJ and all his siblings, they shared one room.
This is the room me and all my brothers and sisters grew up in.
His grandmother worked at the Holiday Inn making minimum wage, and she had an addiction of her own, which was gambling. CJ's great-grandmother, who was born in the 20s, had spent her life working as a maid in her younger years, but during CJ's youth she was in constant pain and would pop as many as 20 pills a day to deal with her various ailments, including arthritis. Now, there was no extra money coming in, and the home life was military-like. Young CJ's only outlet, well, was schoolwork and house chores.
All I had to do was my homework before I got in trouble by my great-grandmother for not sweeping, you know? So it's like, man, I better do this schoolwork. I grew up with military bearing in my house without even being in the military.
Before CJ was so cool, he described himself as being something a little different.
From kindergarten on up to 8th grade, I was a lame, dusty kid. I just had the skinny, tight school pants on because it was the school clothes from last year.
One time in the 7th grade, he decided to switch his report cards F's to A's and the C's to B's. His grandmother wasn't easily fooled and he caught himself quite the whooping. With money so tight, Cordero didn't get to enroll in many extracurricular activities. He did, however, love to sing from a young age, a talent he still practices to this day.
I can only baby, I can really get to know you.
Eventually, CJ's grandmother allowed him to enroll in baseball where he showed some skill. But a kid then by the name of Sherman Sherwood hit him with a fastball right in the face, which convinced CJ's grandmother that he would no longer be playing any sports.
And that was the day I ended my whole sports career. So whatever basketball, football I could have done, I never did.
When he wasn't dodging baseballs, he would have to keep his head on a swivel from local thugs who would jump kids at his school.
Anyway, man, this is it, man. This is my elementary right here, bro. These are the projects that I had my fights in, man. The first time I saw a murder, it was right here. I saw a 13-year-old boy kill a grown man. I saw that, man.
Young CJ lacked confidence growing up, that is until the 9th grade. There was finally a father figure who stepped into his life, who he met at the Carter Memorial Methodist Church. The pastor there took young CJ under his wing.
Want to give him a shout out?
A shout out? I don't know if he watches YouTube. His name is Tracy Morgan. I do remember his name. He was Pastor Tracy Morgan. And the church was Carter Memorial Methodist Church. That's the name of the church. Carter Memorial Methodist Church.
The dude's name was Tracy Morgan, but it wasn't this guy.
I knew y'all niggas was from the projects. I smelled y'all stink motherfuckers when you came in. Yeah, you motherfucker, you wearing that new Project Cologne called Back Staircase.
Tracy Morgan not only gave young CJ counsel, he also gave CJ his first taste of the finer things in life.
That's crazy.
Gifting him with fresh clothes, new shoes, and a cell phone, which he had on him when he enrolled at Theodore Roosevelt High School.
A cell phone changes your life in school. And I became a little bit cooler, a bit cooler actually, because I was outspoken. I felt like I had some of the things that other kids didn't have, which would normally be me at the time. But so I felt, like, oh man, I could say what I want. I could do what I want, talk to whatever girl I want.
During this time, CJ also picked up his first job working at a Denny's in nearby Maryville as a dishwasher, making $7.50 an hour. It was actually a family friend who got him the job, and CJ was making more than the cooks. But he did have to share his paycheck with his grandma because she would drive him to and from work. Although this job was pretty crummy with him taking out the trash and dealing with dirt, at school CJ was as fresh as could be. Everyone started referring to him as Nelly, which is someone who became an early role model for young CJ.
Nelly, I was told so much that I looked like Nelly as a kid that I started to believe I was Nelly, or I was at least his twin. So I rapped every Nelly song. I actually wore band-aids on my face. I did everything. I bought his clothing line in Bocal when I could afford it. I had Bocal jerseys, and I really thought I was Nelly. It was crazy, man.
CJ's first school was violent. There were riots. One time there were 30 different fights at once. Another time a student broke the arm of a teacher.
That's crazy.
On the regular, local thugs would creep on students in the schoolyard, so when CJ was old enough, he decided to make a move.
So I transferred myself to this William A. Wirt High School, which was on the beach.
As soon as CJ enrolled at William A. Wirt, his life began to transform for the better.
The kids weren't gangbangers, they weren't fighting, and it was my environment. It was my type of place, and I fit in so well.
Everything at the school worked so much better for CJ. Being the new guy, he was legitimately the coolest guy at school and a class clown. By now, everyone was calling him CJ, and the so cool, well, that would come a little later. He also had a job at a local Chuck E. Cheese where he was making $15 an hour wearing the Chuck E. Cheese costume. With more money, he was able to afford more swag. The dude was even first in line to be crowned homecoming king, but then a blast from the past would steal his title.
I'm standing there with my girl who won Queen. It was set up perfectly. She wins. They call the girl first, ladies first. They call her, she wins. She goes down and accept her roses. I'm standing there smiling, and then they call Sherman Sherwood for king. And the whole gym's like, oh, it was like disappointing. Like they all expected me there. It was like if they all knew, they bought their tickets for me. So they're like, how did Sherman win when I bought my, and everyone's whispering like, yo, but didn't I? And everybody's like, yo, I know this dude got cheated. So I'm sitting there literally crying tears. You know, I'm a sore loser. I didn't want to fight him. Obviously, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'm crying.
The winner was chosen based on who could sell the most tickets to the homecoming game. CJ, being the coolest guy in school, had this competition in the bag, selling $500 in tickets. Then Sherman had his mother pay off the school council so he would take home the crown. I don't like that Sherman guy. Not one bit. Although he's probably watching this video right now, you're probably not too pleased. He's definitely not living in a mansion. Anyway, it was during this time in high school that CJ would embark on the next chapter of his life.
He pulls up in a brand new Escalade on like some 24-inch rims, and I'm just looking at it like, oh my God. That is what I want for myself in the future. Everybody on the whole school campus was looking at his car like, whoa, you know.
That man in the white uniform and with the white Escalade was the second male role model that would reshape Cordero's future. To get into the Navy, CJ had to take the ASVAB test, which he passed with flying colors. He graduated high school in 2007 and was off to boot camp. There, he was yelled at, spit on, and would do constant push-ups. There were group showers, and they did what they could to break him down mentally. CJ's initial plan was to become a cook, but then things quickly changed.
When I went to boot camp, it's like all of that energy that I never used, I released it on all them fools. It was 88 of us in the same division, and I was the best. I was the best at everything. Running, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, paying attention, folding my bed, my clothes is the cleanest, everything. Like, I was literally trying to prove to my petty officers and my chiefs that I was their best kid.
Before long, he worked his way up to leading his entire division of 87 men, singing in cadence while they marched.
Division, attention, forward, march, 1, 2, 1, 2, 41.
He soon became known as one of the best and was drafted to join the presidential underguard. Here he worked directly under George Bush for 2 years. Prior to serving this time, CJ went back to Gary, Indiana, where his school had reporters there to celebrate this huge honor. Unfortunately, all the evidence from this event were ruined when CJ's grandmother's house, well, the roof caved in.
I was actually in a newspaper for being in the presidential honor guard in the Navy. That got destroyed, like all of the... It's just crazy. I didn't even want to think about that.
Following a short break, CJ flew to Washington, D.C., where he had to do boot camp again for another 2 months. CJ described this as torture in his Why I Joined the Military Storytime video. He joined the casket-bearing team in the Navy, which was for the biggest dudes. Now, this required CJ to start weight training, which resulted in him tearing 7 ligaments in his lower back. From there, he was seen as less of a commodity in the Navy, and they sent him to Norfolk, Virginia to work on the USS Laboon, which is one of the smallest ships in the Navy. Here, CJ would have to share a bed on the boat with dudes who were pissing in the showers. Also, there were no girls, and on top of this, CJ was too big to walk properly on the boat.
I used to literally have to bend over like this, walking through the hallways because of the pipes and all of the stuff. It was the smallest ship in the world. And I didn't know why they did that to me. I'm like, is this torture or what?
He was making $3,000 a month in salary, working Monday through Friday, but they would often call him in on weekends for extra work, where he wouldn't receive any overtime. CJ was miserable working on this boat, and one weekend when the new Michael Jordan 6 rings had just come out, he chose to grab the new shoes before going in for an extra shift over the weekend. Well, this got him in serious trouble, and he got himself yelled at by the captain of the boat. Due to his previous work with the Presidential Underguard, they offered CJ honorable discharge, which was a huge relief. I mean, if he had gotten a dishonorable discharge, he would have had a hard time getting his old job back at Denny's. For real. CJ lived off his Navy salary for 3 months before getting a job at Minard's in the carpet department. This didn't last long as CJ made the decision to enroll in college. He got into Purdue University, Calumet in Hammond, Indiana, studying criminology. The plan was to become a police officer, but then fate would step in, putting an end to this plan rather abruptly. This was around the time of the Columbine shooting, and there was a kid who committed suicide in CJ's dorm. The school staff, they carried out a room inspection, and they found a gun in CJ's drawer. After 1 semester, he was kicked out of school. CJ spent the next little while exploring his options. He started spending what money he had saved up on souping up cars, his first ever being a 1986 Cutlass, which he decaled into the SpongeBob Cutlass, which he entered and won multiple car shows with. It was during this time that CJ began uploading videos to YouTube in a since abandoned channel. Even back then, CJ knew that one day he would be famous.
Maybe y'all don't need to dish y'all. Maybe y'all just don't know me. Like, maybe y'all don't know it's in my blood to be famous. I'm gonna get famous one way or another.
In 2011, CJ would get another wake-up call when he found out that he was going to be a father to his daughter Kamari.
When I had the kid, I said, I need to get a job. So I went to the casino and I took a class in learning how to deal cards, blackjack. I was great at it. I passed the class, got the job. After I'm working there, they're like, you're so great at this, we want you to learn craps. Craps is way more advanced. I learned it anyway. Started dealing it. I was great at it. They said, we think you should go to Vegas.
Around this time, his SpongeBob cutlass, it got stolen, so off to Vegas CJ went on a work transfer. His daughter Kamari has a big family in Gary, Indiana, and he wasn't on his feet just yet to take her with him. He would pay child support and he would FaceTime with his daughter on the regular, something he still does to this day. He landed a job at the Flamingo making $30 an hour, working 8-hour shifts. His tables were always packed because CJ knew how to hype up his crowd and keep his patrons entertained. Enjoying his new life in Vegas, CJ decided to celebrate one night in the VIP section at Planet Hollywood. It was there that a woman came up to him and said, "My daughter thinks you're so handsome."
She said my daughter's name is Royalty. And when she said that, like, oh, my heart, it dropped. I'm like, oh my God, a real human being named Royalty and they look like this?
From there, the two exchanged numbers and started talking and texting. They made plans for dinner, but with them both not having cars, well, Royalty's mother, she came along for the date.
They went to my girl's house to pick me up. Yeah, your baby daddy was watching the kids while you was out on a date with me. We was both doing dirt.
We was.
Hashtag dirt doers.
But
At that dinner, they opened up to one another and fell in love. Now they go into more detail about their romance in CJ's How I Met My Girlfriend Storytime video, so be sure to check that out. Back at work, CJ was approached at 5 in the morning by the casino security, who took him down into the basement. It was some old gangster shit.
They're like, 5 days ago, we got you on camera cheating at gaming. So I'm like, what's cheating at gaming? And 5 days ago, I can't even remember what I ate for lunch yesterday. What do you mean? So he's like, did you do it? Obviously, I'm like, no, you gotta be kidding me. So he's like, okay, we're taking you to jail. No questions asked. Took me right to jail. I'm in there for 3 days with a $60,000 bond.
Now that wasn't something CJ could afford. Thankfully, he had developed a great relationship with Royalty and her mom, because he was able to move in with them. That's when CJ first met Royalty's 3 children.
First kid comes out, the oldest, Jalea. She comes out, I'm like, oh, hey, little girl, how you doing? I'm CJ, nice to meet you. And she's all smiling. And then the next kid comes out, Leonidas, the boy. I'm like, oh, what's up, little man? How you doing? I'm geeked up, happy to see him. And then another kid, I'm like, what the hell? How many kids you got? Goddamn. So she's laughing, everyone's laughing. And then the littlest kid was the last one. And I'm like, thank God. But at the time, the littlest was 2. So Carnation needed to be potty trained and everything, and I did that. I took that responsibility when Royalty went to work in the day, and her mom they both were nurses. So Royalty and her mom had real shits. They couldn't just come home and be home all day.
Back to the court case. Due to CJ's military service and his spotless record, the judge let him go, but he still had charges he had to fight with no money, and he had no lawyer, so he fought them on his own. Thank God the casino camera footage resulted in the judge ruling not guilty. By now he was living with Royalty and they were splitting the bills, paying $1,000 a month in rent. That's when his youngest brother Jinx was just getting out of the Air Force and called up his big bro. CJ invited Jinx to fly out to Vegas and become his roommate, also so Jinx could help out with rent. Now Jinx had been playing around on YouTube while in the Air Force, but now with time on his hands, he started to really put in the work.
When he moved to my house, he started growing so fast. He went from like 70,000 subscribers to 700,000 subscribers in like 3 months. And I'm like, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. I don't know what YouTube is. And then he's like, oh, yo, I made $900 in a month. I'm like, yo, how did you do that? What do you mean, off a computer?
CJ had gone back to dealing, this time at the Plaza in Old Vegas, which is a little rusty. There, his boss hated him and didn't appreciate the entertainment value he brought to his customers. CJ had the most popular table, leaving the other tables with no customers. Back home, Jinx went from making $900 to $12,000 in a month. And that's when the 2 brothers, well, they started to collab.
But like the first 100 comments are all saying, your brother CJ is so cool. All of them are saying that. So I'm like, what? What the hell? And then there's like Tell him to make a channel. I'd subscribe. I swear if he had a channel, I want to subscribe. I'd watch all his videos. Everyone's saying this, and I'm like, I would be kind of retarded not to start.
Royalty bought CJ his first computer. He had 30,000 subscribers on his first day. In no time, he had 100,000. Once he got his first check from YouTube for $3,000, he quit his job at the Plaza. Now CJ was all in on his YouTube career and decided to mix things up, diversifying from reaction videos. Instead, he would roll out prank videos. He showed off his shoe collection. He got in on the Whisper Challenge, the Jelly Bean Challenge. He was doing it all. And eventually, CJ's new family would get in on the action.
I'm CJ So Cool.
I'm Royalty.
I'm Julia. I'm Leonidas.
And this is Carnation.
The growth of CJ's YouTube channel has been pretty astronomical. There is talk of a reality television show in the future, and he's currently averaging just under 70 million views per month. And with all this success, he moved his family into a Las Vegas mansion, but more on that will come in his Rich Life video. As for the rest of the story, well, that's where I'm gonna wrap things up because this is before they're famous. My name's Michael McCrudden, and a huge thank you to CJ for his help with this video. If you haven't subscribed to his channel already, be sure to do so. A link is down below. Also a link to the full unedited interview. Let me know who's next. I'll see you guys in another video. Boom! Huh! That was a long one.
That's crazy.